Hello everyone and welcome back to another art video. This is a watercolor picture or a watercolor style picture of a puppy that I fostered about a year ago. Her name is Honey, and I am starting off with what I call a structure sketch, and I wanted to do a slightly different angle, so I did a top down, like looking down at the puppy kind of angle. And after I've done the structure and I figured out where like all of the pieces of the thing that I'm drawing are going to live, then I will lower the opacity, create a new layer, and then do an actual, sketch. I use the brush called Peppermint in Procreate under the sketching category to create the sketchy lines that you're seeing here. Now I'm just kind of working out the details that I want. I don't want every single detail to be in the picture. Usually, in my style of watercolor, things are a lot more loose and expressive, so I'm just getting the foundation, like the fundamentals down and sketched before I move on to color. Another excellent piece of advice is to use a lot of references, as many as you can possibly get for the subject that you're sketching, especially if it's an actual, like, living, breathing thing. It's good to have lots of references to look at while you're painting. So I'm going to have a link in the description box below for the brushes that I use, because I do use a watercolor specific brush set for Procreate, and it's one that I purchased. I actually don't remember how much it was. I think it was like $15, but it is probably my favorite brush set of all time for Procreate. So now I'm just building up the color. I do try to work, even though this is a digital painting, since I'm trying to mimic the look and effect of watercolors, I work in the same way that you would with watercolor, which is laying down the lightest colors first and then building up the darker hues, the mid-tones, trying to build contrast that way. And I do try to make each layer fairly light, and I usually set the multiply layer mode so that colors lay on top of each other much the same way that they would in watercolor. And again, some of the details I worked out through the painting process. I used just the sketch lines for the border, basically the biggest shapes of the puppy. And then I used color to try and build out details like the color pattern in the fur and like the toes on the paws and things like that. Now I can finally get rid of my reference photos and work just a little bit more off of imagination and memory. I kind of toggle the reference photos on and off to make sure that what I'm painting is not just a direct copy or a direct replica of the photos. I like to have a little bit of artistic license in my pictures, so I turn off the reference photos. It also helps me to just see what the areas that I'm working on a little bit better, because sometimes the reference photos, I work old school and I don't have like a separate panel for the reference photos. I just paste them right on top of the picture and then I just toggle them on and off when I need them. Now working on the details of the eyes, adding what would be like the gel pen or the acrylic paint for the highlights, and finally it's time to do the background. Usually for these type of pet portraits I do just an abstract watercolor-ish background, and I do like it to be a little bit hastily made. Again, kind of adding a little bit more of the expressive watercolor style to the painting, and I almost always do like a border. I love to do the borders and have like parts of the animal or person, whatever I happen to be sketching, breaking out of the border. I think that helps give it a little bit more depth. And now I'm adding watercolor like splashes, just final details, again, to add a little bit more of the expressive, make it feel a little bit more spontaneous as a painting. But now I'm going to add the final touches and sign it. I'm going to let you enjoy the rest of the video. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to comment below. Thank you.